Okay, this is going to be a walkthrough for the stock project for Finance 481 Part 2. The instructions are right here on Blackboard Learn. We're going to talk about stock valuation. Everyone should be assigned a stock to start with, and we're going to search for three that are similar in their growth expectations, their EPS growth, and similar betas, and we're going to compare those four stocks, the original one and the three that are similar, on Excel. So first thing we're going to have to do is find a stock, or find three stocks that are similar to the one that we were assigned. I'm going to pretend that I was assigned Apple. I don't think anyone has that one assigned, so I'm going to use them. Currently, Apple is at $524.94. It's important to know what their price is. So the first thing you should do is bring up your stock on, if you're going to use Google, then use Google, Google Finance. And then we can pull up on a separate tab the stock screener. If you click on the left-hand side where it says stock screener, it'll pull up some parameters for you, and you can use these to help narrow down your search. So I'm just going to start by clearing out all of the ones that are originally there. When you first open it up, it'll come up with a bunch. Just clear those out by clicking this X on the side. And now we have nothing, so it gives you all 30,000 stocks that are available. We just are looking for 4. So the way I'm going to do this, I need to whittle down this list to 1. I want to get it all the way down just to Apple for right now. So I'm going to say $524.94 is its current price. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to say price, last price. I'm going to tell it $524. I don't need to change because there's not very many stocks that are at that price. And then $525. Oops. Somewhere between $524 and $525, I should get 1 or 2 stocks. I get 2. Hayward's also happens to be pretty close, but $524.94, that's Apple's stock price. Great, so Apple's in that list. Now I want to figure out, according to the instructions, I'm going to want to figure out what the growth expectations are. This is EPS growth that we're looking at, and what the beta is. Now, I could just look up here and see that beta is 1.01 on here, but the EPS growth is going to be different. So EPS is listed under price, but we want the growth one. So we're going to look at growth at the bottom. I'm going to say the 5-year EPS growth rate. I'm going to add that in. And rather than constricting this down and trying to narrow down to what Apple is, if I just leave it all the way open so that it includes every stock available, it will come down here and it will list both of them, and it will just put the EPS growth rate right there. And so now I know, oh, it's 42.43. Great. So now I can put in here 42.4, I'll put 42, and 42.44, and Apple should still be down there. It is. And then I'll add in the beta, which is actually under metrics. Beta. And if I don't constrict it, it'll just list it down there. And it's listing Apple's beta at 0.94, which is a little different than what it listed over here, but it's pretty close to 1. So we know that Apple's beta is about 1. So I can put up here a beta of 0.93 to 0.95, and it'll give me Apple's beta. So I have 0.94 for Apple, or for their beta, and 42.43 for their EPS growth rate. Now, if I get rid of the price constraint, I allow any price of stock, but I keep the constraints on the EPS and the beta, then it'll tell me everything that fits that criteria. Right now for Apple, it's nothing because I have it constricted to exactly the same. But that's why on the Blackboard instructions, we can say plus or minus 0.5%. For 0.5% for the EPS and 0.05 for the beta. So now I can expand this EPS to 0.5, which would put me down, if I subtract 0.5 from there, I'd actually get 41.92 and 43.94. So I expanded that out a little bit. Actually, it's 42. Is it? Well, that's okay. And I can take this out by 0.05. So that should bring me down to, let's do 87, 88. And bring this one up to 1. See if we add anything there. So that's not wide enough to add any more stocks to it. I'm going to expand it just a little more. I'll go out to 40 and out to 45. Maybe bring this down to 8 and 1. There we go. So if I bring those out to 39 and 46, there aren't very many companies that are similar to Apple. So I have to widen my range pretty far. But now I get 8 stocks that match. So I got Smith & Wesson, I got Perceptron, Pathfinder, Nelnet. These are all things that have similar, at least somewhat similar. The price doesn't have to be the same, but the growth rate's in the 40s. The beta's just under 1. That's okay. Toshiba's in there. So I can use any of these to compare to Apple. Now, seeing that I'm going to need some price earnings ratio, which is the PE ratio, the price to sales and the price to book, I might as well bring up some things on here too. So I have the last price listed, but I'm going to need, well, I can put the price to book on there. I'm going to have to calculate it, but it might be nice to just know what these things are. So I'll add those in there. Earnings per share, that's going to be important. Market cap is going to be important. And now when I go down here by adding those, earnings per share I can't add. That one has an error. There we go. Now by adding those, it keeps the same list, but it adds all those metrics to it. So now I can see what they are. And when I report them, they'll be available. So now that I have this data, I can pick any of these. I'll go with some big names that people know. I'll use Toshiba. I'll use Smith & Wesson. I'll do Apple is the one I'm starting with, and I don't know if any of the other ones are very big, but under market cap, ACI has 2.2 billion, so they're pretty big. They're about the biggest other one on the list that I haven't already picked, so I'll go with them. ACI Worldwide is the other one. So I'm going to pull up Excel. I have the outline that was posted on Blackboard, so I'm going to use that. My assigned stock is AAPL. Then I have Smith & Wesson with his SWHC. And you can just fill in the rest. It's the same pattern. So beta, I looked up their beta, but I can also pull it up here. And so this beta is listed as 1.01, and on the screener it's listed as let's see, Apple is 0.94. They're a little bit off. I'll use the one on the screener just to be consistent. 0.94. EPS growth rate, that's this one of 42.43. Now I'm going to need to find the PE ratio, the price to sales, and the price to book. I can't just report those from here because that would defeat the purpose of this assignment. So what I'm going to do is go to the data sheet, and I'm going to need Apple, and I'm going to need their data items. So one thing I'm going to need is their net income. If I'm going to do, well, I'll start with the first one. I need the price to earnings ratio. So I'll just get their current price. So I'll say price. And right now, Apple's price is 524.94. And now I'm comparing, for this ratio, it's the PE ratio, which is price to earnings. So I'm going to need their price per share divided by their earnings per share. So EPS, earnings per share. I'll go back here and I say earnings per share is 40.32. 40.32. And now my ratio is going to be their price per share divided by their earnings per share. enter, and I get 13.01, and that's dang near close to what's listed up there. So good, that's what I want. So now I'm gonna need their price to sales and their price to book. Well, I can get those off the balance sheet and the income statement and whatnot. So we'll start with price to sales. I already have the price listed up here, right there, but I'm gonna need the revenue now. So I go back here, I have Apple pulled up, and I can go to financials on the side. And then I wanna make sure to use annual data. And their revenue is the top line. So it's, and this is in millions. So it's 170,910,000,000. And to get rid of that error, you can go up here and use a comma. And then expand the row or the column. So you can continue in that same pattern to find the price to sales and price to book, and you can do it for every stock. And that's all you really need to do for this assignment. If we go back to the instructions, we can make sure that we hit everything. But we have the price to earnings ratio. We know how to find the price to sales and the price to book. Those formulas can just be found on Investopedia or wherever you want to find them. We have the 3 stocks that have similar growth expectations and similar betas. The stock screener for Google, that's what we used. Present the results in a spreadsheet. Once you fill out that spreadsheet, you can turn it in. And then it's due by April 20th. And there's should be a form for submitting it down at the very bottom. Stock project Dropbox. So you can submit it there. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. And good luck.